Welcome back. Now we're going to pick up where we left off, and the first thing I'm going to do is go back to the team planner view. And if we just concentrate for the moment in the carpenters and have a look at the carpenters. Now, as with every other Gantt chart, etc., I think we can filter this. So if I just filter this now for carpenters, and we look through the workload of the carpenters, we can see at its peak we need a maximum of 4 teams, but you can see there's quite a bit of porosity around this. We could actually say, okay, we don't need 4 teams. We could say look at reality. In order to meet the program without delaying anything, technically we need 4 teams, but you can see here I've got 3 days of work and what looks to be half a day's work. Now, to rationalize this, if I said I've got 3 teams, I could what's called level the resource, which means that these have an effect on this part of the program. But you can see if I were to rearrange it slightly, the push out is not going to be massive. And this is where we get to with each one of these, is we look at what's reality and what we need. So technically you need 4 teams of carpenters, but if we had 3, the impact of moving this along would be very, very little. So if I click on this now and I say we've actually got 3 teams. So the only place you can see now where this is becoming a problem is at the point where I need 4 teams. I could push some of the work out to make the job push out by a day or 2. Just say, well, I've got 3 teams. But let's say I've only got 2 teams of carpenters, just to show the effect here now. So now I've got much more of an impact. As you can see now, there's quite a lot of work that is going to have to wait in order to make the work to level if 2 teams of carpenters to do all of this work. The effect is going to be reasonably large just looking at the amount of work that's going to be done. And if I I'll undo this so that we've got back to 3 again. If I actually reduce this, if I leave this as 3 teams and I level this resource, first thing I'll do is show where we're affecting it. We're finishing on the 3rd of November. If I level this resource, and to do that I can either rearrange things manually myself, and I could say I could push out the work to make space, but I also have a button where I can automatically level it using letting projects reassign everything. But as you can see here, it's telling me that it can't resolve the over allocation, probably because of clashes in terms of effect on other things. So generally, whilst it works sometimes, you can see it's made some changes, but it hasn't really improved the situation. Generally, it's a case of working out manually how it can affect it. So you can see here now, this is the first case of over allocation. If I move it out, say, by a day or 2, am I improving things or not? Move that. Needs to move out, say, by another day or another half day. I've managed to fit it in there, and then so that's taken away all the over allocation. So some of the jobs, smaller jobs, have had to wait and mix a couple of days, and generally it's always a compromise. You have to look and say, right, I'm trying to have as little impact on the program as I can. So for instance, if a job had to wait, let's say this job, I could see here now, if I move this job out by 2 days, then it's going to have a knock-on effect on these, and it's going to push everything. So when you're doing this, you're trying to minimize the impact as much as you can. So it's a case of moving things along by half a day, let the program reshuffle it all so that you can maximize the efficiency but minimize the push out on program. Now, if we look at this, you can see the work we've done. It hasn't actually altered anything on my critical path at this point, because obviously these jobs have an amount of slack and I'm moving within the amount of slack. But if we look at the whole job in one hit, and I'm just going to push these back and undo the changes I made there. And right. So what I've actually undone, I've undone a number of steps there to go back to this, so we're back to the start before we started changing anything, because what I want to do now is I want to take a baseline so that we can see how things change. So to set a baseline, I go into the project tab, set a baseline, and there are no baselines saved in this, so I'm going to save OK for the whole project. And nothing's changed at the moment because I haven't got the baselines actually turned on to this to show. So if I now choose the baseline, the black line is now a baseline snapshot of the program. At the moment I've got it filtered for critical tasks. If I press F3, I remove all filters, and this, you can see now I've got the whole thing sorted. My team planner shows all of the over allocations, so everything that's over allocated. And at the moment this is all mixed up. I'm going to put it into an A to Z order. It just makes it, now everything is in alphabetical order. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, how many resources do I actually have? Now, you can see here technically I need 4 teams of carpenters, but in the main I need 3, because you can see as work builds up, it gets to a peak of 3 teams and then eventually runs back out then into singles. Now, let's say, for the sake of argument, we only have 2 teams of carpenters. So as you can see here now, I've got this set to 3 teams. If I set this down to 2 teams, and now it's showing over allocations. We've got over allocation of carpet fitters. Showing there, we've got 2 teams of carpet fitters required. I'm going to leave it at 100. Concrete contractors. So concrete contractors is 4 guys doing the base prep. This is prep and compact, excavate the formation. Let me go back to my resource sheet here. Contractor, floor slab contractor. Who have we got doing what here in this program? So set of profiles, floor slab excavates. Yep. So floor slab contractor doing all the floor slabs. The concrete contractors will be doing the drives, etc. So concrete contractors, you can see, doing drives. So separate gangs, separate function. Let's go back to the resource sheet of the team planner. So concrete contractors doing the drives. You can see there's quite a lot of intense work there, all happening pretty much at the same time with concrete contractors. It needs 3 teams. So if my concrete contractors is a team of 4 guys, that basically means I need 12. And I would say for a small housing estate like this, that you're more likely to have 2 teams than 3. So if I say, right, maximum we've got on this is 2 teams. So, okay. And so you can see we've got a bit of clashing still because I need 3 at the most. Drain layer. So one drain layer, let's say we've got two drain layers. And then electricians, again, you can see there, I need a peak of 3, but let's say we've got a maximum of 2. Issues contractor, although it's showing you have to scroll along, you can see where you get to over allocations. It's currently showing the sort of single height there. When you get to an over allocation, it widens out. So there. So again, there's not masses of work there. Let's say we've got one fascias contractor. Fence contractors. So look at the bulk of the work that's got to be done and what's likely in reality. Well, I could say again, fencing contractors, a couple of carpenters, potentially we could get extras of those without too much trouble. So let's say we can get 3 teams okay. Remember, this is all about what's reality of what we'll be able to get on site at any time. Obviously, different resources are harder to get than others. I mean, for instance, it's easy to get 20 teams of carpenters, not so easy to get 20 electricians. So we have to look at what's realistic and what we're likely to get, and how likely are, if you put too much pressure on your subcontractors, how likely are they to let you down anyway. So even if you say, well, I want 5 electricians, if your electrical contractor can only supply you with 3, then you've got a problem. So you have to look at it realistically. Kitchen fitters, again, we have a week there where we need 2. We could possibly push that and say, all right, yeah, we can get 2 teams of contractors in to do 2 teams of kitchen fitters. Landscapers, I'd say 2 landscapers, should be easy to get 6 landscapers, so we can mark that as 3 teams. Metal fence contractor, a team of 2 guys. I'm likely that will be 1 team and that's all you'll get. Now painters, you can see here we need 3 teams of painters. Just for sake of argument, let's say we can only get 2 teams of painters. So 200. And plumber, say we can get 2 plumbers. Team of roofers, again, I would say you'll get 1 team of roofers, so we'll leave that as 100%. Scaffolders generally, I would say, is not too much of a problem. I'm showing there, so 2 teams of scaffolders as and when needed. I don't see there's any issues with that. Stoppers, well, let's say we've got 2 teams of stoppers. Surveyor, as I say, we know we've got 1 stopper, and let's say we've got 2 teams of window fitters max, so that would be waterproofing. I'll scroll along just to see how much. Yeah, 1 waterproofer, I would say we can get 2 as we need quite easily. And window fitters, now, at its peak we need 3 teams, given how closely bunched they are together, and I would say probably you'll get 2 teams and that's it. So in this, for this size of a job, so we'll stick with two teams. So as you can see here now, we've still got quite a lot of clashes. We've now decided exactly how much of each resource we've got. Battens contractor, I'll say we've got 1 team of battens contractors. Bricklayers, I would say we've got a maximum of 2 teams of bricklayers. So now we've decided on the realistic resources we have available. The next step is to level the resources and calculate the effect on program. And that's what I'm going to do in the next video. So join me there.